Hello, Superb.
Hi Diamond, how's it going?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm very good, thank you. Well, I hope you're well, because all is well here in the Philippines. I've been
Brilliant.
here 3 days now. The time is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So,
Wow. 7 o'clock here.
okay,
What's
well,
it like over there? The weather good?
it's very good, very good. We've just actually it's a rainy season right now, but I'm happy to be here, and well, I think it's due. I think we're due for some heavy rain in London too.
Yeah, a lot of wind as well.
But anyway, good morning to all our listeners. Just like to welcome you all. And on the 28th of October, this is our second edition of the Superb Diamond Range podcast. And today's show will be all about sport. And
That's right.
it's going to be about a wide range of topics with sports, about how sports um, is good for us, how it can be too much for us, from sport on TV to professional sports and to sport at school. So without further ado, we will start. And I'd just like to give a little bit of a background of myself again. Um, as last week, I went to school in the UK, and a lot of my talents were recognised through my sporting achievements. So I used to be a triple jumper at national level. So, at schoolboy age, like between 16 and 18, 18 to 20, I was competing all around Europe and also competed for Britain a few times, which was quite good. Got to visit some nice places, meet some nice people, and learn. Especially, I learned so much. And but prior to that, I had dabbled in most other sports. I was pretty pretty good in football. In America, you would call it soccer, and basketball. Done a bit of Wing Chun, which is a form of Kung Fu, and rugby, table tennis, badminton. So I've done a wide range of sports, which I would say is also good for hand-eye coordination with table tennis and badminton. And with athletics, I've done quite a few events, as 100 meters, triple jump being my main event, long jump. Dabbled with the hurdles, which was good, great for my flexibility. And playing football, as you can imagine, big, strong striker, banging in all the goals. And but later on, later on, as I became a student, I started to play table tennis and badminton, which I really, really enjoyed. To be honest, that was a good challenge because I'm playing with people who are brought up playing those sort of games, Asians, and yeah, I excelled. I was surprised that I did excel, and I would actually prefer to play those sort of sports right now. To be honest, they're good to watch, they're good to play. Table tennis, for me was definitely a sport where it definitely catches your works on your hand-eye coordination. And if you look at some of the strokes with table tennis, some of the forehand pushes, they're like blocks in martial arts.
That's
And that's
right.
one thing I've realised the Chinese or the Orientals are very good at table tennis. And if you can just freeze some of the shots, what they do, and take away the bat, they actually look as if they're doing martial arts.
That's right. Yeah, I never thought of that. That's very true.
Yeah, that's one thing I've observed because, as you know, we like to observe things and
Yeah, because when I was in the public indoctrination system, one of the few things I must admit I did enjoy was PE or sports lessons, and I used to enjoy mainly running and long distance cross country. I was quite good at sprinting early on, but I was more interested in longer distance running. The only thing I didn't enjoy was football, but it was such a big thing in school to play, and I used to try it, but I could never enjoy it like everyone else and get into it. I found that everybody thought they were good at it, but probably they weren't that good. It was just like the standard was so poor, and that's the same as like in the Premier League where you see they call it these great teams and great players from England, but when they go into the international tournaments, they get found out as being not very great at the game, and
Oh, definitely, you're right there. Well,
you know,
we've seen that many times.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like they like to hype it up that it's going to be, this year they're going to win the World Cup or the European Championship, but they always get found out. And even
yeah.
when they get like easy groups in the beginning stages, they always make a meal of it. They
That's
can't even get past easy teams supposedly, and
would you
then
say
you know,
that's true? Would you say that's the media building them up more than the actual players? Because the media build them up, and so the armchair supporters, are taken in by the media because the media have distorted everything, like from every war that's gone on to
totally.
9/11, 7/7. The media is the one that is put the official story. So
That's right. Yeah, it's
so when
totally
it
true.
comes to sport, they predicted before the final they would say, "Oh, England are a great team." So the 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 unlearned fan who has got no sort of intelligence, he can't think for himself. His thinking is done by the so-called media, and it will be, "Oh, England must be really, really good."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I expect them to get to the final. So, and then when they're knocked out, when they're thrashed by some team,
Which
and
happens a lot,
all of a
doesn't it?
sudden
Yeah,
they want to have a riot.
yeah, yeah.
Some even drop their drinks.
That's right.
But,
Yeah, they again they take it personally. They take it like it's their family losing.
exactly.
They don't realize it's just a game. That it's not real. It's just entertainment. You know,
Yeah,
but they take it to heart, and they believe that you know they fall for the illusion of a game.
that's true.
Um,
Would you,
which is not that important really in the bigger scheme of things.
you know, even when they're at home watching a game, or actually in a pub or a bar, or actually going to the game, would you say they show more compassion with their fellow supporters and the team than their own family?
Definitely, definitely. They have
Which
more time for them, and as
which is
another
not
thing, they'll go to work. The priority will be the big game, as they call it, and even if they've got children, it's like the children, like take care of them. I'm gonna go to the pub to watch the big match with my buddies, and it's like it takes center stage in their life. Instead of sort of going home to have a nice meal with your family or spend some time with friends outside. They
yeah.
just want to go to the pubs and just screaming at the screen and
Well, that is
spilling their drinks everywhere and
the image they want of the working class male.
yeah, that's right.
He's got no class. He's a barbarian. Um, he wouldn't be interested in important things going on in the world. So they are, in a way, they have been sold sports and alcohol.
Totally. Yeah, the two go hand in hand now.
Yeah, they've been sold all that. So as the famous saying goes, have you been sold a lie or have you bought the lie? And in their case, they were sold the lie and they bought it
That's right.
because it is their job to sell the lie.
Yeah,
But it's up to us if you want to buy it. So they're doing everything. The media's doing everything within their powers to
definitely,
sell us a lot of crap, which they will always keep on doing. They would never admit to it because they are liars from the beginning.
definitely. I mean, when I was growing up, the sports that I used to enjoy watching on TV or live if I could get the chance. I used to really like snooker. I think that sport is not as popular as it was back in the 80s and 90s now, but and there's a lot more like match fixing going on now. It's probably always been match fixing over the years, but now it's coming out. You know
It's true.
that's what they're doing. I used to really enjoy boxing as well and tennis.
Yeah,
Um, you know, I did my work experience at the British Boxing Board of Control, and you know, again, that was really good experience. Got to meet a lot of people and find a lot more about, you know, behind the scenes of the sport, how it's all run. But
it's true.
but definitely, like watching boxing now, it's like these big fights they have. It's like there's so many controversial decisions and so much corruption and so many fights that just are pure robberies, and it's just happening all the time now, and it's like they're taking us for fools. You know, it's like, you know,
Well, the same with horse racing. That has been proven. A lot of the races there have been fixed. Um, the odds are stacked against the man who's betting. Basically,
yeah,
it's,
that's right,
it's the reason they fix these events are because of the gambling thing going on.
that's right, yeah,
If there was no gambling going on, you would have a fair result all the time.
definitely, definitely,
Just it is in a way, sport is like a stock market as well.
yeah, yeah, totally, yeah,
So the people running the show have orchestrated the outcome already.
that's right, yeah,
Just in the stock market, exactly the same.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like you got a lot of players as well are vulnerable to you know, if they're not feeling like they're doing so well in their game, and they're not, you know, being successful and making lots of prize money, it's easy to manipulate them, you know, into, you know, not playing well or performing badly and giving up games basically.
that's
And
true.
in team games, it's harder to see because you can blame the other players, but sort of one-on-one sports, you can definitely tell if, you know, one player's trying or not, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, and it's such a shame that you get people that, you know, probably are doing what they love for a job. You know, if they really enjoy the sport, and it's like they sell out so easily, and
Yeah, of
obviously it
course.
gives a bad name to their sport and the future of it. You know,
It seems like that is common practice everywhere now. You start off being innocent, well,
yeah,
so-called innocent, like you would be a young politician going into politics, and you get into it, and then you find out there is only one way to be a politician. That is corrupt.
yeah,
Otherwise, you'll always be at the bottom if you're honest and do not sell out. Like the likes of Ron Paul will never become president,
yeah. That's right.
even even if he got all the votes in the world. They would fix it so he never wins because there is no way they want a president to pull people out of countries.
That's
So they
right. Yeah,
so America and Britain do what they always do best, which is corporate takeovers.
that's right.
Get the media to make up a story as 9/11. They might send a bomb or a missile and make it sound like a plane hit a building.
That's right.
That's anyway. That's for another day. I go on about that. Sure, a lot of people would be offended by that, but you can break that down quite easy, and there is absolutely solid proof. Even the firemen have spoken and have, are scared of losing their jobs. Have said there were bombs in those buildings anyway. Um, but anyway, superb.
Yeah, I was just going to mention about going back to sport. I mean, one of the things I noticed about the supporters and fans is obviously they give up a lot of time to the, you know, to watching it, and you know, it's maybe occasionally it can be good, but you know, I think one of the things that I've noticed is that they never really participate in playing the sport that they love watching. And I've always felt that to get an understanding of the sport, it's always nice to at least attempt playing it. You know, whether it be tennis, like maybe go out and buy a racket and hit some balls with a friend, or and it's the same as, you know, just trying out different sports to see if
That's
you
true.
enjoy them. As much playing them as you do watching them. And I think
Uh,
that's an important thing as well. And it's a shame that a lot of them are just armchair and they don't go out and physically attempt the games, but yet they're very critical of players when they
that's true.
can't really do much themselves,
That's true.
or at least try to do.
That's true. Well, that goes on to my point of the next segment. Health in sports. Is it good for all? And like you just said, the armchair people for sure should be trying. They should not be just armchair people
Yeah,
saying, "Yeah, come on, Biggle, you wanker, you wanker."
yeah,
They should be
exactly.
the ones getting out there with their children or their friends, having a kickabout or playing a game of tennis, and for sure that would be good for them. We're not asking them to play a heavy session of football because maybe it could be too much for them, but we're talking at least 45 minutes to an hour.
Because obviously, like you know, sitting in a pub environment or even at home on the couch, just down in pint after pint, watching the match, eating junk food. Obviously, if you're at least a few times a week trying out the sport, playing it. I mean, obviously, if you enjoy watching it, I'm pretty sure there's a chance that you might enjoy playing it. And the main thing is you're getting a lot of, it's an exercise that you can enjoy as opposed to doing an exercise you dread. Like,
Exactly.
some people might not enjoy cycling long distance or running long distance, but they might enjoy playing a game of football because it's fun for them. It stimulates them.
Well, going back to exercise, during my sporting career, most of my events were power events, so it was sprinting. I had to do short runs, no further than maybe 200 meters. I must admit, I did a 4x400 meter relay once, and that absolutely was like a marathon
Wow.
at the time. Yeah, because you got to run fast
Yeah,
at a good pace, but it took so much out of me. You need to really, really train for that. But
totally. Yeah.
since I've stopped doing athletics, I found myself, I'd done a lot of 10Ks, and I seriously believed I could never run far.
Yeah.
I used to think I'm just a powerhouse, I'm just a sprinter.
Yeah.
And one thing I did, like you just said, I really got to enjoy other things, like, running for an hour non-stop, running for 2 hours non-stop.
Yeah.
May not be super fast, but
You're at least
it,
doing it, like
it
trying.
really sort of raised the libido and it raised, endorphins inside of me too.
Totally.
To come
Totally.
back home and you felt so fresh, you felt great, so positive.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people do it, isn't it? It's for that. It's for the
I
buzz.
think if everyone done that, they would realise. You see people coming out of gyms looking happy. They
Yeah.
look sad. They might look sort of pissed off. That feeling of when you finish work.
Yeah. Yeah.
The smile might come in a bit, but you're tired. And then if you push yourself and you do some exercise, you actually sort of replenish your energy again.
Totally.
That's what cells are there for. If you work your body, you actually work in your blood cells too.
Brilliant.
So, if you're lazy, your thinking will be lazy, and you start to eat bad food as well. But if you stay positive, you find everything in your life is positive.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of people wonder why they get sick, but if you're not doing some kind of regular exercise and trying to eat, you know, reasonably healthy, it's like you can expect to sort of be sick really down the line. It's we've got to look after our bodies because obviously the body's our temple, and
Exactly. Exactly.
it should be our number one priority in life is to stay healthy in this body.
Well, that's why I say that's one of the misconceptions about the religion when they say um, talk about churches or temples, but the temple is your body, as you just correctly stated.
Totally.
And they teach you the kingdom of God. You go to church and you'll see God or something, but God is within you, and the temple is your body.
Definitely.
But People do
People
not.
put a lot of things over it as well, like things like money, their career, their job. They'd rather work hard in their jobs than work hard on themselves. Like
Oh, they have more pride in their cars than
yeah,
than
that's
they
right.
than themselves.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to mention. I mean, I haven't had a car for a good while now, but when I used to use a car, I used to notice that going places if there wasn't too much traffic. Obviously, it was very quick to go from A to B, but I also noticed that when you compare it to sort of walking or cycling outside on the streets, it's like you get to take in a lot more of what's going on around you.
Of
Whereas when
course.
you're in the car, you're completely closed off from everyone. You drive past people so quickly that you don't even get to notice them or see anything or look at the nature outside or
Oh,
and
exactly, exactly.
and it's like a laziness like all the time. Oh, I must use my
And
car to drive to the shop that's only 1 minute walk away from my house, and park up. And it's ridiculous how lazy people have become and just relying on their car and not on themselves, their body to get to places.
it is shocking. Yeah, it is shocking in the UK, especially.
Yeah.
And you find there was a hardcore minority that use bikes, which is good to see, to travel, to get around. And yeah, I like to think that you're one of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and myself.
Yeah, I mean it's better than paying the old petrol tax and the road tax and all
Exactly.
these other frauds that
Yeah.
they come up with. Obviously, it's good for you. It's I would say most cases now it's probably quicker with the amount of cars on the road, the amount of traffic lights everywhere you go,
Everywhere. Yeah,
stopping every second.
and sorry to say, the standard of driving is terrible in the UK. And
Yeah,
and also, you find years ago, this is how I felt. Years ago, I'm talking 20 plus years ago to 15 years. I felt really confident riding anywhere on a bike, knowing that most people driving their car behind me would just go past and give me way. But now they're driving right close to you,
yeah,
practically knocking you off your bike, not even stopping.
completely.
And yeah, I even saw a crash yesterday where someone reversed into another car,
Gosh,
which is wasn't good at all. But anyway, going back to sport being good for all, our armchairmen would definitely benefit from it because being at school, you've done your your physical education, and you probably went through a wide variety of different sports. And during that time at school, they should have taught you as well how to stretch, how to breathe properly, how to do a bit of yoga. But I imagine not really,
not
because
really. Yeah,
from from my experience, they just show you the sports. Just like when you go to school, they give you lessons, but the real learning is when you leave school.
always is, always has been. Yeah,
If you think what you learnt at school was good and was prevalent, was everything you need, then you're totally deluded.
it's like the further you go into education, like the every step you take it further in the system, it's like when you get a degree, it's like you're not improving. You're actually going down. You're getting worse.
Of course, because
Yeah,
you're trained totally just to use that part of your brain now.
yeah,
Not that creative side is closing more and more. And
totally. Yeah.
part
And the
of
types of people that you meet through it as well, they're in the same boat as you, so you don't get to meet too many awakened people, and you start to watch more TV and read the kind of newspapers that you
oh,
think are are valuable, but they're just again shrinking you.
of course, because you find someone who has a creative mind wouldn't be someone that would be totally, totally, totally for the system.
Yeah.
You know, they would be looking at people who are starving and thinking that's not right. But you find people that are totally in the system become selfish and they become, oh, well, it's all about me, me, me.
That's
I'm going to
right.
do this for me and my family. And look at me now. And yeah, that will never work.
Not
You
at
know,
all.
you never get a balance on this planet like that.
Yeah. They
So
just want an imbalance. As the saying goes, the
it's-
tables are tilted. You know, in
the imbalance, the imbalance in the world is also the imbalance what is inside of us too.
definitely, yeah. What's in us, sort of like it's
Of
like
course,
reflection in it.
of course, you know, we are nature and the world, the system. When once we change ourselves, the world will change.
Definitely believe that. Yeah.
We, you know, we can't expect someone to tell us go and fight in a country and kill these people and say, well, the government told me, because you're responsible for your own actions.
That's right. Yeah.
That's why these soldiers have these nightmares because they're killing people, they're killing themselves.
Yeah.
And who, in their right mind, gives them authority? The only one who really gives you authority is your creator
That's
to
right.
do anything. Your creator gave you life. So people need to get back to basics and
That's all it is.
think,
That's what's gone wrong with. They've
look
made
after
it
their
so
body.
complicated, but it really is simple.
Yeah,
When you go back
yeah.
to source.
Look after their body and make sure their mind is right.
Definitely.
You know, a healthy body and a healthy mind go together.
Another thing I want to mention regarding sport is obviously that now that there's a lot of people that are fascinated by celebrity, and obviously sport kind of fits in with that because so-called sports stars now are classed as celebrities and they hang around with celebrities, and obviously the fans really worship the different sports stars out there, and I noticed that whenever they certain sports stars advertise certain brands, be it Nike trainers or whatever, or they promote a car or something, that the fans believe that because they've sort of endorsed it or they're on the advert, they believe that they need to get the same shoes or same car, and it's if they want to be like that sports star, they better drink certain milk or certain Lucasade Sport, and it's like a lot of people follow that, and they also feel like they know the person just because they see them on the TV or in the newspaper or in an advertisement, and it's that belief that they know them, but obviously the sports star probably would just walk past them on the street and wouldn't acknowledge them and
For sure,
couldn't
for
give a
sure.
shit about them, to be honest.
You know, we're all actors, aren't we? So,
Yeah, yeah,
all they're doing is acting, but they're acting in something what people enjoy.
that's right.
So,
Yeah,
the sheep or the people have become idol worshippers.
that's right.
So, they idolize these people instead of looking at the man next door or saying, "Hey, Jim Bob, you've done a great job. The electrics or the electrician or the plumber, he does just as great, or the fireman who saves lives."
Definitely. The nurse.
You got someone who could be performs on TV for a couple of hours, but they do not know what their lifestyle is really like.
Yeah.
And
And also, I think, like as you said, they act a lot. So you've got like the persona is different for when they're performing. They've got a different persona.
exactly,
So they're just it's another capacity for them to be a sports person.
it's acting. It's acting
Yeah,
100%. It's
yeah,
once they leave the sporting arena, they take on a new role. They could be a wife beater, or
yeah.
hopefully not, but hopefully they are role models. But the media are the ones who portray them as role models because the media want them to sell certain products to the sheep.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, let's take this because Biggles said this this shampoo, this aftershave is good. He use it.
Yeah,
So they come into school the next day or come into work the next day. Oh, look what I've got. Bah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I've seen young school children that aren't doing any exercise, sort of drinking sports drinks, thinking that I better drink this because like some footballer recommends it, and
Well,
they don't realise that it's not very good for you in the beginning. It never was, but they believe that this must be good for me, so I better drink it.
I've
And
seen.
really, what would be better is some water, maybe some bread and maybe some jam, to do some exercise. But they sort of believe in these products that again are advertised by these sports people as make you as good as them at playing football or you know
Well, going back to the nutrition in sport, the nutrition has sort of improved a bit lately from, let's say, back in the day when a football player in the 70s and 80s, in England anyway, would, after a game, instead of replenishing the energy he's lost, they would go to the bar and get legless. You know,
yeah.
when I say legless, I mean drunk like a sailor. Oh, up, you fucking hell! All sorts of language. Nothing against sailors, mind you, but
Yeah.
they'd be talking like sailors too. And it's only since a few English players went to Italy, and the Italians had the diet to a T. And there was a time when English football teams were winning in Europe every season, winning the European Cup, which is known as the Champions League now. They were winning it all every year, and the other countries started to catch up. Because back in the 80s, 70s, the English used to bully people, the way they play, like going in hard tackles, and the other countries were always good at touching, one touch, skillful, but the English were more sort of brutes.
Yeah, the English, I mean, the way they play the game, they're known for just like
Yeah, hard
booting the ball
tackling.
from one end to the other, and
Yeah,
you know
sort
they've
of
got
ping
no
pong,
skill.
hard tackling, and eventually it would wear off because the so-called foreigners, as they call them, would be a bit weaker. They can only take so much, so they'd be wore down like a boxer,
Yeah,
like a puncher against a good boxer. Sometimes the good boxer would win, but if the slugger can take it all for 12 rounds and is willing to slug, he can wear the puncher down.
definitely.
So it is like a game of chess. But there was a time when the English clubs were winning like every season, like 5, 6 seasons on the trot, the European Cup. And I think not only due to their hard players, but they did have a few skillful players too. So I wouldn't just say that they're all. They had a few brutes and a few skillful players. And it's funny because back in them days, I think there were teams like Nottingham Forest were good, Liverpool, and I think that's about it really. Nottingham Forest, Liverpool were doing the business. Aston Villa one season, Ipswich Town were pretty good. They set the standard for the teams now. Um,
But the
yes,
players, like, they're so out of touch. Like
yeah,
now, a bit like like lawyers and people on these crazy salaries. Like they just
yeah,
they really could not see themselves with the fans. All they care about is the money and just showing off. Buying the latest car. Trying to live in a better area. But a lot of them come from sort of working class backgrounds, and a lot of them have forgotten that. And they just want to. They get big into the ego and thinking that they're special, and they don't realize where they came from, and
yeah. That's true.
their
That's true.
background. They've really lost it. They've lost their minds. You know.
Well, there's one player that is sort of having a serious battle right now due to his diet. Well, not so much the diet; it's the boozing factor.
All right.
Um, yeah, it was a great player for England. He's a Geordie. I better not say their name. But, great fun, good, pleasant personality, and with that, it's affected his marriage. Gone
Wow.
to clinics like 3, 4 times a year, and yeah, that's all because of the culture of football, where
Totally.
they used to drink straight after a game, and in Italy and Spain and all around Europe, they would have pasta, get their energy back, and relax. And you find a lot of them, a few of them might even smoke,
Yeah.
the odd cigar or two, but one thing you don't do is get wasted. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's like Formula One. Whenever they're on the winning podium, they have that tradition with the champagne where they spray it everywhere and drink some of it themselves, and it's part of like the culture of the sport. And again, a lot of people associate, like fans associate sports with drinking. Um,
well, if you look at Formula One, look at the type of drink. It's champagne, you said.
yeah,
What working class man drinks champagne? So they're saying, look, champagne. This is a rich man's sport,
that's
rich
right.
man's drink.
Yeah,
What working class man will get a bottle of champagne and psst,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and
they're
I must say, like, in my life, I've tried champagne, and I've always thought it was a horrible tasting drink. I've never liked it.
yes,
Um, I think it is a sham, to be honest.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a sham.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of people fall for that. They say, oh, to celebrate, we must get champagne, and all it does is it's just you waste your money basically on it doesn't really do you any good, and it's buying into the lie again.
That's
This is a
true.
successful drink, and
It's true. So going back onto the sports, they had the Olympics, the London Olympics in 2012,
that's right.
which was put forward as one of the best things happening to the country. But the only thing it really did was make Londoners out of pocket,
Yeah, that's right.
and
Yeah,
it was sad to see the way Londoners were treated as well. You know, especially
second class, isn't it?
yeah,
Third
especially
class. Yeah,
when it came to buying tickets. It was
yeah,
like a lottery. They couldn't buy if you wanted to see athletics. You couldn't really go and buy athletics. They put your name in a hat or something, and they gave you what you want,
they,
basically. So you can
yeah,
be an athletics fan, and you'll see badminton or horse riding. And then also, what they done, they with the roads outside, they had this lane called the Olympic Lane.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
It's for coaches, or which was hardly being used. So
yeah.
if any vehicle went inside the Olympic lane, they would be
Charge
fined.
you. Yeah, big charge. Yeah,
So you remember this country. One thing about England is it's horrible. It's all about money,
revenue
money,
collection.
revenue off.
Yeah.
You drive a car, you park somewhere where you think it's car's safe. You're not harming nobody. You come back, ticket on your car.
Yeah.
I've never had that. Thank God in the Philippines. That's why I'm glad to be here.
Because I was telling you before, Diamond, about my friend that he was travelling back from Kilburn. He dropped a friend off, and he was travelling to his home, and he was very tired. It was very late at night, and he must have been wobbling a bit. Obviously, it's not good to drive tired, but basically, a police followed him from behind, and they thought that he'd been drink driving, but he'd never taken a drink in his life. Not even once. And they made him do a breathalyzer test, and basically um, he's quite a small guy, and he was blowing into the breathalyzer, but he wasn't given enough strength. So they allowed him 7 attempts, and on the seventh attempt he didn't quite make it again. So they just grabbed the keys off his hands, handcuffed him, put him in straight in the back of the police van,
That's
and
disgraceful.
he thought at that point that he was in trouble for drink driving. And then anyway, they gave him another shot at it at this police station, where they basically have another machine which is more powerful and more easier. to breathe into, and basically he got the all clear, and the female police officer that took him in, she wouldn't come out to apologise. She was like hiding when she found out that he wasn't drinking, and he wanted to have a go at her because he was so angry for all the time that he'd wasted with them and the way he was treated. He was roughed up a bit by the police, but they'll do anything to get money from you. They're just
Yeah, of
evil.
course. That is, and that kind of story is common.
Yeah, totally.
The thing is, there was no crime even committed.
That's
You
right.
can imagine if he banged into something or hit someone, but in England they arrest you for things like, well, I know you shouldn't drink and drive, but they would sus. I think it's called sus, where they think, oh, I've got a suspicion that this person's done this,
Yeah,
so let's pull him over. Oh, I'm glad he's over the limit, but he could be parked right outside of his house, and they're still going to arrest him and take his license away.
completely.
And that is basically someone who hasn't even committed a crime.
That's right.
There's no injured party. No one's been hurt, or someone who's not wearing a seatbelt gets a fine. Who's the
It's
injured party?
it's like when you're on an empty motorway late at night or in early morning hours, and it's like the speed limit's 70 mile, and you decide to do 71 or 72.
Yeah,
There's no cars on the road. You can't see anybody, and they'll just come and give you a speeding ticket for that.
yeah.
It's
That's
just
one.
crazy.
That's one thing I hate about dislike about the West is, you are penalised for things
Petty things.
without even committing a crime. They will put it in your head like you've committed a crime. There's no injured party. The only one at the scene is yourself.
That's
But
right.
blah, there's 3 points. There's a fine. There can even be a prison sentence. But just imagine you're walking on the road and there's a slab and you fall over. Who do you sue? Do you sue the pavements? Do you sue the council? No one goes to prison. No one.
That's right. Yeah.
Or let's say it
Bankers.
snows. It snows. It snows now, and you fall over. And it's the act of God, as they call it.
Yeah.
Uh, you fall over. You're the injured party, but no one gets sued.
That's right.
Or you're driving your car now, and you're driving in the snow, and there's just unfortunate that you skid and you maybe hit one of those mailboxes where people post letters, and you knock one of those over, and you'll for sure get done for that.
Totally. There was another thing I wanted to mention about in sport in particular. Like we did mention it in the first episode a little bit, but obviously there's a lot of hooliganism, and I mean, you get people that get killed after matches, football matches and events, and it's just really, really sad that somebody would get killed over a game. That they could go so low as to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
that is sad. It's shocking. It's a waste of a life.
Completely.
That life could have been used in a good way to raise a family, to be a role model, but they choose, especially young people. They're misdirected and they fall into this culture of bonding with fellow supporters from the same club.
That's right.
So they see that as being accepted. It's a bit, sorry to say, it's a bit like a military kind of mentality as well.
Totally is. It is a war, isn't it? They see it as a war.
They see it as they go into a game and they see the other sets of supporters as the enemy as well.
That's right.
And they're wearing the same clothes, they live in the same country.
I
You know,
like it. I like the comparison. What you're
they
saying.
probably, if it's a London match, they probably even live in the same town, go to the same schools.
That's right.
But because this team is wearing red, this club is wearing blue, they're enemies, and as work as sheep all do. They do not even know why they're enemies. They do not ask questions. You know why? If it's a sport, it's supposed to be a gentleman's game. But you know, to die in a football match, as you know, as a fan who's been knifed, or someone's put a bottle on him and he's bled to death, it's absolute waste of a life.
And also, it's there's so many like sore losers out there that at the end of the day, life goes on. You can't change the result of a game, and
Yeah,
no matter if it's the right decision or wrong decision. But the important thing is to move on and get on with your life. Your own personal life.
that's right.
But again, it's that thing where they, even things like going to their work, they put on bets with people at work about the outcome of games, and they get a grilling at their workplace. Oh, you lost, and you owe me money, and you've got to pay me, and obviously a lot of people are putting these sort of sports bets now in workplaces.
Well, that's true. As someone once said to me, sport in England or football is bigger than religion.
Totally.
You know, they say football is bigger than religion, and to them it is. To them it is. Anyway, for me, religion isn't big, so you know, I do not see religion as big. So yeah, that's a true saying because football is bigger than religion, and
It's funny though, isn't it, that it's kind of like a religion of its own sport that people worship their players, or they call them their heroes, as somebody would worship
it is a religion
a god, make believe.
because you find people all around the world. You go to some shanty town in Africa, and then you'll in a village, and you'll see a young boy walk past with a Manchester United T-shirt.
That's right.
And when I was in Thailand, sorry, my Thai friends, Thai viewers, uh, you know, they would. This is the time of the World Cup now, the last World Cup, where I think Holland were playing. In the final, Holland played Spain, where Spain won. And I actually went to this bar, and I sat and watched the game with these Thai people, all Thai, like Thai
Okay.
men. And I said to a few of the Thai people about, Thai football's getting better now. They've got an English manager. And they said, "Oh, I don't like Thai football. We're not good. We're not good." I said, "But if you support them and get behind them, you don't have to be the best, but you can compete." Oh, Thailand not good. So I said, they said they like Manchester United. They like all the names, and because that's you just said football is a religion. So I said to one of the Thai people, I said, "Name me one player that plays for Thailand." And they thought I was insulting them because they couldn't even name one player.
Because
But
I,
they,
cause I've met people that they live in like one part of the country, but yet for some reason they always support the biggest teams, i.e. Liverpool, Manchester United. They're never born there. They've never even visited that city. Never
well,
probably met somebody from there, but yet because that team's so successful, they decide to be a, as we call it, glory hunter, or
that's right. Yeah, that is
or their
how
friend supports it, and just to fit in with a friend, they'll say, "Oh, I support your team as well," so that now we can talk. You know,
that's how powerful the media is because the media will never promote a team in the lower league
totally.
or say it's all about competing. The media or the sport is all about winning. They're not interested in teams in different leagues who are you know vying for promotion.
That's
So when
right.
when these teams get promoted, I guarantee you they sell their best players. So just like in politics, you have like two parties or three parties. In football, you'll always have the same three teams.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's very very true.
good
big
comparison.
three.
You always
Yeah,
have the same teams, and them teams at the top will buy all the best players. So the teams like West Ham, who produce good players, or teams like Brentford, and lower leagues, um, will never make it. Sorry to say.
because all the sort of big money is in the big clubs,
Because
and that
the
they've
players,
always been good. They've made
yeah.
sure that they're successful.
Also, if you look at players years, from the 1970s to the 80s, they would have played for one club or one team throughout their whole career. Now, players are moving every 2-3 seasons to different
Wow,
teams.
it's amazing.
If you look at the managers, a football team goes on a bad run, he's sacked after maybe 6 or 7 games.
Yeah,
You know,
I was just thinking that as well. I was going to bring it up, similar thing. I just can't believe. I think that's another reason why I've never been drawn to football in particular. It's how cold it is. I mean, obviously, I know they get well rewarded or they get overpaid or whatever, but it's just like as you say, you could have a little bit of a bad run, and even before you know it, the actual manager probably find out in the morning newspaper that he's been sacked and they're
of
looking for a
course,
replacement, and you know,
they've they've put that competitive culture in schools, at work as well. For the average man at work, they're making league tables. So your office against another office.
that's right.
Our
Yeah,
office is the best, and they have league tables for schools as well for children who are just trying to learn. And just basically, school should be a place for children to be happy, but we know it's a place to take your mind away. That's the
definitely,
first place of the mind of the conditioning.
definitely, and it's getting worse. By the way, I mean,
Yeah, of course.
people are, children are getting dumber and dumber. Sorry to say, but
Yeah,
they're just like lowering their IQ even more. All the time, just so that schools can, again, as you say, league tables, school can look good. Oh, look at our pass rate, but it's because they've lowered the
exactly.
standard of the test. You know,
You know,
the
they're,
tests have always been shit, but they're getting worse. Like
but for 7 or 8 year old to be having exams when they
yeah, it's pretty crazy, eh? That is cruel. That is pretty cruel.
so going into so you find that people are under more pressure now, even young people, to get by in schools. And so we're trying to relate everything together, like from school to sport. It's all one big pressurized environment now. And so now for people to stay in the top, this is where the drugs in sport comes in now, or drugs in society also.
There is a lot of drugs
uh,
in sport. It's unbelievable how much it's been going on, and that's why they brought in now a lot more drug tests, random drug tests. But it's a case of if you trust the people behind these tests, and I know that there's a lot of flexibility and ways around it as well.
well
And they've all been exploited. You know.
I know one thing. When it comes to drugs in sports, there was one Olympics where I don't really like to mention names, but I will, because I was involved in athletics during that time when Flojo, remember Flojo?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Probably before your time, but she just came on the scene. She was running really, really well for maybe 3 or 4 years. She was always behind this lady called Evelyn Ashford, and she was behind maybe a couple of the East German runners at the time. But in one season, she improved by half a second, which is like
Wow.
10 meters
Oh wow.
in 100 meters. And within one season, she smashed the 100-meter world record, and she smashed the 100 meters for the 200. And at the age of 36, dead.
Oh man.
But her body changed totally. And this is the same Olympics where Ben Johnson was cool.
Oh man.
So Ben Johnson was used as a scapegoat that year. So Ben Johnson got caught, because he beat Carl Lewis in 100 meters, and so he was stripped. He was a nice man, by the way. I felt quite sorry for him.
Yeah.
One thing, he spoke to Ben Johnson, and he spoke the truth. He said everyone's on it, which is very true.
Yeah, because I mean, we were aware that a lot of these so-called world records in athletics, in particular, they've been made by a lot of athletes that are on drugs behind the scenes. So
Yeah, of course.
and it's such a shame because we all think wow, look at that time, but we don't know if he if they well we pretty much know now that a lot of them aren't clean because you
Yeah.
can't be clean to get those times.
No, and
You know.
going back to Flojo, when she was caught, they never mentioned it on the media. They never had a big thing that she was caught. So
Wow.
what they said was to her, they said to her to keep her medals.
Really?
Yeah, they said to her to keep her medals and get out of the sport.
Oh man.
'Cause they saw the 100 meters as a blue ribbon event of the Olympics. So to have the 100-meter champion in men's and women both on drugs, they want to show the world that it's a clean sport and everything. But
Because obviously
again,
it'll turn people off the sport. I mean,
of course,
yeah. I mean, you got the biggest sports stars out there that are winning every tournament, and people are paying to go and see them play live and
and
pay per view and things like that. So they can't allow them to be found out to be taking
that's right.
drugs. It's PR, public relations, and
And
illusion.
there was one Olympics as well, I think, where the Bulgarian team weightlifters, they come in second, third places, and all different weight categories, and they were getting caught. And it's the first time I've heard of this, where they actually stripped the whole Bulgarian team. They sent them home, the whole lot.
Wow.
Because all of them were failing, and so they never even tested all of them before the events. So some of them haven't even competed yet, but they sent the whole team home, disqualified them. So
Unbelievable.
they do not really like to advertise these sort of things too much, in the Olympics. But Olympics is sponsored by drug companies as well.
Totally, yeah.
Uh,
And I mean, a lot of it, the athletes always use, oh, it was a nutritionist gave me this supplement, and I thought it was okay, and I didn't knowingly do it. But I've heard that a lot of them do know. Um, I mean, again, to get the kind of times they're getting and to perform the way they're performing now, there's no way that they don't know. You know.
of
And
course,
obviously, as we know, to beat the world record, you have to take it, or else you can't. Otherwise, you'll get honest times, which none of us really know what an honest time is now because it's been so distorted over the years. Every Olympics you get a new record, don't you? More or less.
there was a survey in America. They said, would you rather have an Olympics with honest times where no one's on drugs, or superhuman times where people are on drugs? The way it is now.
Yeah,
And 80% of the Americans said they want it as it is now, people
I
on drugs,
know.
so they can have superhuman times.
It's just, oh man, it's an illusion. It's just, again, this is another reason why, as of late, I mean, even in the last couple of years, 3 years gone by, I've been less and less enthusiastic about following sport. I used to religiously watch Wimbledon, and if there was any big boxing fights on, I would always be excited by it and put a lot of into watching it. Put a lot of time aside. But now I rarely go on websites to read about sport,
That's
and
good.
I don't have a TV anymore, so I don't watch it. Um,
That's
and I feel much better for it, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Because when you sort of know that behind the scenes a lot of it is fixed, and a lot of it there's a lot of drugs and corruption going on. There's not too much fair sport anymore.
no. So
Um,
that's when we realise now. from my conclusion that sport is not good to watch unless you've personally involved. Maybe you got a son playing,
Definitely.
or you got a son playing, or you're taking part yourself. But to watch, the people at work, because all you're doing really is these people are going to work. So who would go and watch you do your job?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
that's all
like
it is.
your job, however much you're being paid for it, the amount they're getting to do what they're doing, and as you said, like they'd have no interest in you to know you or talk to you, and as you say, watch you doing your job, but yet
Yeah,
you could spend all day watching them do their job, and you know, it is pretty sad that people kind of worship these sports players. Um, and another thing that I wanted to bring up was, they have this belief that certain players are so good because they're the champion or they've got a title, like in boxing in particular, where there's a lot of politics involved and a lot of corruption. But you see that, oh, he's the world champion, but yet there's four champions out there, or maybe five different belts, and
yeah.
it's like they won't fight each other. They're just avoiding fighting the best. Whereas maybe in the old days they would face each other, but now it's getting to the point where no one knows who the real champion is.
They don't care. It's just work to them. They're getting paid.
Yeah, and I mean,
They,
obviously, you've got like older fighters that are still quite good, or probably at their prime even, and it's like they're getting bad decisions against younger, future fighters that they're trying to build up. So it's like so corrupt. It's like you see these old fighters that should be three-time, four-time world champions,
yeah.
but yet they're getting robbed in against young, up-and-coming fighters that they want to make into the new big star. So again, it's like a movie. It's like they're building people up, um, you know,
Like,
and then obviously near the end they try and build them down. It just puts you off. You get disgusted by the corruption in sport, and that really has sort of turned me off it. From an armchair point of view.
well, like I said, sport is um, goes side to side with politics.
Definitely, yeah.
There's corruption in sport, corruption in politics, corruption at work. So
And
we're living
there's
one
better
dirty society.
ways to spend your time. I think as well than to just sit and watch a 2 hour match or an event. It's
Well, if you seriously, as a one-off, it could be okay, but if that's your regular thing, there's something missing in your life. If you've got
definitely,
to go out and subscribe to watch the football every week, and then go out and talk and listen to it on the radio, where there's things going on in the world. There's 70% of the world do not have clean water to drink, but yet people are talking about this basketball players' house, or the celebrity
yeah.
status.
I was going to mention regarding that actually. It's like a lot of people invest a lot of money in sport. I mean, whether it be a Sky subscription, whether it be going to watch a match, or whether like my opinion is that you're wasting a lot of your money on sport, and it's I don't have a problem with you. Maybe I mean a lot of sport you can do for free. Obviously, you don't need to pay. You might need to buy some equipment and things like that, but it's still a lot less than what you would over your lifetime spend on following a sport. And I think that the money could be better used. There are other things you can do, like again, things like being with your family, being with your friends, doing
Well,
things, you know, natural. Not all the time just sitting in front of the TV, big plasma screen, and getting off your face just watching
well,
a match.
what they do, they see it as a lad thing, as being one of the boys. So what it really goes to show, no offense, but it shows these people have never really grown up.
Exactly, exactly.
You know, the boy kicks the ball, and he's happy and he's proud. He's playing, he's getting fit, and the grown man is watching it.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
He should be
Yeah.
embarrassed. He should be the one. They're both kind of child mentalities, but the grown up maybe should maybe be teaching it or maybe
Yeah,
taking care of his family, but to go out and be watching it and making all these chants like there's some war going on. You
definitely.
wonder why the society's messed up,
Yeah,
totally messed up. So, I think sport can be a good thing. It is a good thing if you're doing it yourself, but to watch it, no way.
no way. Yeah. And
So,
another thing I was just going to mention is um, people that follow sport, they know almost everything about the sport, i.e., they can name you all the players, they can name you the numbers on the back of their shirt. Um, you know, they can give you all the statistics, but
yeah,
there are much better things to fill your mind with, much better things to research than sport. It's like you've got one brain, and it's like you're focusing so much on knowing everything there is to know about sport, all the statistics, but there are much more important things that you can learn about yourself, about the world around you. Than actually focusing all your energy on sport. I mean, like some people that like to travel, instead of learning about the statistics of baseball, could learn a new language. So that whenever they travel, they can communicate with the people. There are better things to do with your brain than focus on statistics in sport and be knowledgeable and you don't get rewarded for it. Okay, oh, you get a pat on the back. You know so much about that sport, but other than that, what do you really get for it? Nothing. You know.
no, nothing,
So a
nothing
lot
at
of
all,
people are proud to know everything there is to know, but yet what do you really get for it?
nothing at all superb. And it's like since meeting you over the years, we've sort of slowly and gradually come down from looking at sport, where it's come to the point now where we do not even look at sport,
That's right.
which I'm very proud of. And once you sort of take your mind back, because sport takes your mind from what is really going on and what our elites, so-called self-proclaimed leaders are doing to us. Because I do not call anyone who thinks they have authority over me my leader. Because we're all equal here. So,
There
and as we
was
say,
there was
but
something. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and yeah. So what I'm saying is, these people will never take us anywhere until we get our minds back, and we need to take our minds back now and realise that our minds belong to us, and sport is only here for one thing, entertainment, to
Definitely.
watch. But real sport, the real physical activities and well-being of your life should be done every day. And
Main
but
priority.
as for watching sport and making it the big priority in your life, big mistake. You've given your life away. You've given your soul away. And yep, sport is a religion.
Diamond, would you be able to mention the thing that you were talking to me once about the numbers on the shirts and what it kind of compares to? Don't know if you remember.
Yeah, the numbers on the back of shirts, they're prison numbers too.
Totally.
Because we all have prison numbers at work, like your social security number, you're known as that. And then you go to work, you have another number, your card number, and then you go to watch the football game, they have a number on their back. So whatever, you know, so what they're showing you is the numbers are bigger than your actual name. You're, and then when I competed in junior athletics, I had a number two. So we are, our face is our real identity,
Definitely.
but they've taken it and tricked us into us believing that, okay, well, we don't know who you are. You need this number, and we'll put a name next to it.
That's right. Yeah.
Why not have like in football or any other sport, your name at the back with the year you're born or something,
Yeah.
like 69 or 78, Diamond 78 or Superb 69.
Yeah.
But you know they've given numbers that have got no association with anything.
And
Just
it's
to let you
certain
know.
players request certain numbers because of other players that they obviously worship themselves. So it's like, I want the number 7 because that is special. They
Yeah,
believe, when it's just a number. It's, I know there is more to numbers. I know that it has a meaning behind it, but definitely in
yes,
sport, there's nothing to it. It's just a prison number. You know.
exactly. Well said, Superb. Well said. Well said.
So yeah, I think that was definitely a good one on sport. I mean, we're hoping to do a follow up in the coming weeks, maybe a sort of part 2 of sport where we interview somebody that's pretty knowledgeable on the topic. And it might go into a few different areas on that.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll certainly do that. We'll bring in a guest um, who's in the business. I've got a few people lined up for that. But it's been a great talk. Great show today, Superb. Always a
Definitely.
pleasure.
Yep, same to you. So, yeah, I'll just give out some information to contact us. Um, Basically, you can email us at superdiamondrange@gmail.com, and you can also follow us at Twitter. Our Twitter is superdiamondra or superdiamondra. Also, please subscribe to our iTunes and YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Any final words, Diamond?
Well, it's been a great show. I've enjoyed catching up with you tonight. And yeah, I'm just going to go into town now, um, get some food before it gets dark, because I'm in the middle of this jungle here in Bacardod. So
Brilliant.
looking
Sounds
forward
good.
to, yeah, sending you some pictures. And I've actually met some of the local people, which the local indigenous people, they call Eta people.
Okay, great.
They're descended from the Aborigines. So I met a few of those for the first time in my life. It's quite, it's oldest sort of set of people on the planet.
Brilliant.
They live in the mountains by themselves. So yeah, it's quite a blast. I'm
Brilliant.
enjoying myself there, and I wish you a safe week.
Yep,
And
thanks again. So we
I'm
just want
looking.
to thank all our listeners for listening in, and we really enjoy doing this every week. So hope you enjoy it too. And again, any feedback or comments, please leave them for us. We'd appreciate that.
Thanks very
And we
much.
wish you all well and have a great week.
Thanks very much, and thanks again for tuning in. And we wish you a great week, and be safe always. Stay blessed, stay positive, and always do what is right. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.